And there was something you said I wanted to push so far back on. Oh my God. And I'm, man, because you kept throwing, because I think you was going to get, listen, man, this is what I was going to say just to throw the fellas a bone here. Like what you described was domestic, right? Like, yes, nobody's pushing that aside. That's where I think y'all get it confused. If you're just focusing on the domestic, that's where it becomes what they were saying is an overblown domestic case. Right. So nobody's knocking. We saw the video. Nobody could credibly say it's not a domestic case. But the question is, how does it tie into the RICO? Into racketeering, right? And again, it goes back to what I've been saying before. When y'all talk sometimes, y'all contribute to the case, just not working out in your direction because y'all bring up stuff that may or may not have relevancy. Part of the reason why you can just talk about the blown up car, where's the evidence of it? Because if there was evidence, wouldn't the police have charged them for blowing up a car? Blowing up a car is illegal.
Not if he was scared. Not if he was scared. Not if he was scared.
It doesn't matter. Is he going to be on the stand to say that? What's going to be presented to the court, ma'am? We're talking about this RICO case. How did him doing that be a part of RICO? Exactly, specifically. And can you prove it? Or is it hearsay?
So it's hearsay, but what I'm saying is if they have the people who can speak to this, to the charges or the allegations that are being made, then that actually shows that he used power and money to intimidate people, which could also include intimidating her to stay in her position and her role. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, go ahead. I'm gonna let that slide, man. Go ahead, Jay.
I think what she's saying is that I wait so hard to get off mute. I forgot. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I know, right? Go ahead, Delvin, man.
Yeah, no. To what Nick was saying, it's hard to work past the piss and the baby oils. We got the domestic violence here, then we got the pee in the baby oil here, and somewhere down here is some racketeering and some trafficking and some other stuff. People, it's too much going on. People getting distracted, and that's what's gonna fall apart. Cassie is an integral part about this, and she can speak to a lot of this stuff. So I'm not blaming her. I think it probably at some point she was, hey, yeah, I'm down with this. Then it got weird and strange and rubbing other people's bodily fluids on it. Now it ain't fun no more. I get all of that. Puffy totally did all this. He's a weirdo. I've been knowing that for like 30 years. This ain't new. But all this other shit is distracting from the actual. Where's the racketeering? I mean, you beating your girl's ass. Where's the racket? That's what he's there for. We got to focus on that.
Yeah, and let's be clear, right? Even though I think the feds have a case that they can prove, I really do believe that they were motivated by this incident, what happened recently, and they found a way. That's what lawyers can do to find a way to get a case. So all the stuff that people been knew about Puffy, they've been heard, they've been new, but for whatever reason, after the whole Cassie thing came to light, they made a decision and they were able to make that case. So I'm sorry, S&M. She did have many, many years to report some of this. The reason why it came out the way that it did was because the state of New York allowed for people to file civilly for cases that otherwise would have been past the statutes of limitation, right? So let's talk about this. You also said the whole money piece. Well, just because her motivation could have been money, it wasn't up to her whether or not the feds took what she got rolling and decided to make their own thing out of it. That happens all the time, right? So yes, her motivation could have still been money. And then yes, she got her money. But then guess what? The feds come calling. And guess what you gonna do? You gonna answer, right? And to do the best that you can to comply. It does not take away from the idea that initially she wanted her little 30 and rolled the fuck out. Because in truth, had she not filed, Puffy maybe been smarter about this and paid her off earlier, the likelihood is we would not be here right now. So miss me with these remixed arguments again. As a nigga who started off the show, I'm gonna let y'all in on a little secret. Most of the time, I be having like my little opinions and stuff. And sometimes if I agree with y'all, I'm agreeing in my heart, right? And then I might try to find another way to turn up. But then sometimes y'all rock out and I'm like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? And then y'all force me to make it seem like I'm sitting here defending Puffy. No, I'm defending the record
you are.
and the conversation. If I point out the fact that, ma'am, you were wrong about the money thing because those are two separate things, I could point that out. Doesn't mean I'm defending Puffy. If I can point out that the feds did use this case to build this RICO, and so therefore it wasn't like they've always been on his ass, I could point that out. Just the facts doesn't mean I'm, supporting Puffy. right? And I'm also the same person that just said S&M, that when y'all throw most stuff in there, y'all dilute the shit. You know what I'm saying? Because guess what the human brain does? When you throw stuff out there, we pick to see where's the fallibility in that. That's kind of a natural thing sometimes. You know what I'm saying? If you throw something out there, you could have been talking about nuclear physics, the most important thing. Oh, what's that cat doing over there? But now you're looking at the cat. You forgot all about the nuclear shit because that's just how we are wired as human beings. These little cat moments happen to all of us sometimes, and y'all contribute to it by dangling this other yard in people's faces and then wonder why they can't keep up. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead, man. Like, I just got to call a thing a thing, y'all. But
my short
no,
response, I
ahead,
remember why I
man.
forgot it was so short. It was just that all that's really necessary is for somebody else to come forward. One person further on down the timeline who can say, Cassie told me she was not with the bull. If they can do that and they can show that they were, wherever her mindset, what may or may not have been in the beginning, they can pick a time period where somebody can go, hey, she said she wasn't with it. And da, 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 da. Then I think they got enough for that case, for the RICO and for it all. But as long as until that other witness comes forward and can if we're going to make the case on her mindset, on her whether or not she had a desire to be there, whether it was Stockholm, whether it was whatever, because that's another thing. Okay, so I said it was going to be short. I know, man, but give me 2 seconds. All right, so isn't there usually a power dynamic when a man and a woman get together in traditional society? He has the house and the money and the car and all the stuff. Like, isn't that what people are looking for mostly? Like, I'm saying in the traditional story, it starts power imbalance. It is
Not a provider or
yes,
protector,
that's what
Jay.
they're
Is that what you're
saying.
referring to?
Yeah, and
Wow,
so
wow.
it's
I did not
interesting
think
to
of
me
that.
now that when we see a
Oh,
person who signed up for that in the beginning, they're like, "Hey, I have nothing. You have everything. Can I go with you?" And dude's like, "Yeah, you can roll with me." And she started rolling along, and later on, she's like, "I don't want to roll with you no more." And then they separate, which is good and fine. But what we should not be allowed to do, and I'm not saying she's doing this, but I'm just saying for anybody who's watching her and they're opportunists, we should not. What should not be allowed to do is start taking the revisionist pen of history and rewriting our motives, our narrative, and our mindset to reflect who we want to be now as opposed to who we were then. I'm not saying she's doing that. I'm not even saying she's to blame. What I am saying is it's a he said, she said until somebody further on in this timeline of this story between him and Cassie says, hey, I spoke with her and this does reflect her mind. This is da 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 da. Then I think it has some validity. I think they'll be able to run with it. That's what I was saying.
And I'll also say this too, so we can move on, because the next person we're about to talk about has been accused as well. And I think it's natural for human beings when a person is being accused, right? Especially if it's a famous person, we're curious. So with Puffy, I feel like a lot of people are like, yeah, he did some of the shit. But then it becomes, but we don't know about her. I think naturally now, just out of curiosity, people want to kind of match things up. So I do get the propensity a lot of times to make it for it to come across a way. And I do also get that sometimes we look at things a certain type of way, the whole blame the victim mindset. But unfortunately, like you get stories though that just provides credibility to have doubt. And so hopefully we'll find out more in these next, 8 weeks with this whole story. It's not going to go anywhere. We waited for this to happen and talk about it again. So we're going to wish everyone well. There's a lot of stuff that was disclosed. Wow, especially with people's families in the courtroom. So there are people who maybe didn't do anything who got to sit through and live through some of that. So we're going to wish and pray for everybody there.